Hello everyone, my name is Felipe and as you can see we are back with a new video. It's been a while since I've posted a video in English. I've most focused now on the Portuguese version of my videos, because that's where the better results are, But yeah, uh, let's go into this video. So as you can see by the thumbnail and the title, we are gonna be doing a comparison of how to do a quick setup, you know, because sometimes you get home just on time to the race and you can't practice a lot, you just do like 3 to 5 laps before the race, and I'm gonna show you how to make a setup really quickly, right? So there's a few steps to get there. So the first one, you go to time trial, and then on time trial you see what you can do about the setups, right? So you go to time trial. As you can see here, we are in the leaderboards, time trial leaderboards. So yeah, you need to know the equipment you have, and the other person's setups you're gonna copy, right? Because the first step is get a setup from time trial and then change it just a little bit, as you don't have enough time before the race or etc. It's just how to make a setup really quickly. Alright, so as I'm playing on the wheel and my driving style is quite close to Lucas Brakely, or maybe even Brendan, who really likes to use higher gears, like 4 for third for hairpins. I'm gonna get his setups, just load his setup, and then I'll show you what to change, right? But if you play on a pad or if you play on another wheel, and you have a friend who play in the same wheel as everything else, you can load their setup. Like I know Eula's play on a Thrustmaster, if I'm not mistaken. So I could also get his setup, to load, but I prefer Lucas. It's a bit more oversteery and I like it. Right, so the first step is to get a time trial setup, which is kind of close to where you already like to drive. If you like oversteer cars, you go for a setup, and if you like understeer cars, you go for another setup, right? So the second step is to look at the setup and see what's gonna happen. So you can see the wings, 6/8 wings. So just by looking at the wings, I can assure you that the suspension and the anti-roll bar is gonna be quite high, because 6/8 wings is kind of an understeery setup, so you really need the rotation from somewhere. And you can see here the transmission 90/53, which is already really low. 53 is really low. Sometimes I use it in the races, but I prefer using 54 and 55. I think it's the best. Higher than this is a bit understeery, especially for qualifying, where you really need that grip. So 90/53 geometry is quite common, default, just front toe, 2 clicks at the front, right? So the suspension, you can see, I'm just proving you that I was right when I told you the suspension and the roller bars would be quite high, so 1.8, 1.7, and yeah, that's quite high, to be really honest, because when you are racing in the inverted wings, with the front wings higher than the rear wings, usually you are like 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 at maximum. Well, at least for me, but 1.2 and 3 until 1.5, it's good, when you are racing with inverted wings. So when you are with 6/8 wings, you really need that rotation. So 1.8, 1.7, 1.8, 1.8, just to help you with really slow corners, where you really need that rotation. And then the brakes, 150, and the tires almost at maximum, 24.2 and 23.1 at the rears. Alright, so now that you've already looked at the setup, which have some good references to look at, so you can see the wings are quite understeery. I say understeery because in this game, lower front wing compared to the rear wing means you're gonna understeer a lot, right? So you need the rotation from somewhere, and you get it from the off differential. It's 53, it's quite low, and then you get it from suspension and anti-roll bar as well. You can see it's quite high, 1.8, 1.7, right? So it's pretty good to look at this, and then you go on track, alright? Then you get this setup and go on track, and then you can change something, alright? never get a setup and just already change it. Maybe the setup you've looked might look understeer or oversteer, but it's not. You know, you just go on track, do 3 laps just to get used to the track and the setup. All right, and if you don't spin too much, you know, you think you are safe. If you think you are safe for the race, you just go with this setup. All right, as it is a tutorial about how to create a real quick setup, really quickly. You know, it's just how about getting the setup, going on track, doing 3 to 5 laps, and then if it's good, if you think you are safe with this setup, you're not gonna spin or something like that, just go out and go for the race. All right. But if you think it is a bit too oversteery, if you are suffering with too much rotation in slow speed corners, you just go down, decrease the suspension by 1 click. The suspension has a lot more effectiveness than the anti-roll bar, so if you go down 1 click on the suspension, it's quite equal to go down 2 clicks on the anti-roll bar, right? That's what I'm used to say to my Brazilian followers, because suspension has a lot of influence in the car. As if you go up 1 click, you're gonna feel a lot that oversteer, and if you go down by 1 click, you're gonna feel a lot that understeer as well. So if you are really struggling with too much rotation, go down on the suspension. Maybe you can also increase the off differential, right? If you are losing the car when you are braking or when you release the brakes and you are going on the throttle, you can also increase the off differential, right? So these are just little changes you can do before the race. Also, if you are oversteering a lot and you think you need to be safer for the race, just increase rear wing. All right, it's a really simple thing to do. If you are too loose in the corners, if you think you are fast in the straights, but you are too loose in the corners, just increase by 1 click the rear wing. Right, it's gonna help you a lot, because even though you're gonna be slower in the corners, in the straight, sorry, in the corners you're gonna be a lot better, and you're gonna be safe to race without any problems, especially in dirty air, which is quite effective in this game as well. So the main 3 points I would change, right, is the rear wing, the off differential, I would increase it, and the suspension, I would decrease it, right? Maybe the anti-roll bar as well. If you like it's just a little bit oversteering, you just decrease 1 point at the anti-roll bar. It should help you a lot, right? Especially on traction. And right now we've already talked about oversteer. Now, if you are feeling understeer, it's really important to increase the front wing. Right, you just go up by 1 click on the front wing, which is quite effective. It's a bit more effective than the suspension, right? So if you are really feeling the understeer through slow corners especially, you just go up by 1 click on the front wing. And you can also change some things, like the differential here. It is the transmission, actually it is 90, but you can go to 100. All right, it's gonna help you with slow speed corners where you go on the throttle, and then you can see if the car is too loose, you just go up, and then it's gonna be easier to go on the throttle. All right, obviously you're gonna have a lot more response from the car, so it's quite difficult, but when you get used to it, it gets easier, to use 100. So that's why you see a lot of esports drivers driving with the maximum 100, because 90 and 80 or lower is when you are learning. All right, so when you are learning to race without traction control or something like that, it's better to use lower, as you have a more stable car. But when you are using 100, you'll have an easier response because you get used to that car, very responsible, then you can go up from 90 to 100. You can as well increase the suspension. As I said, the suspension has a really good indicator, if you are really suffering with oversteer. So if you are understeering, I would increase it by 1 point as well. So just make sure you do all these changes step by step, like go out on track with the time trial setup, and then you test it. Right, if you are understeering just a little bit, increase the anti-roll bar, from 1.7 to 1.8 maybe. And if you are really struggling with understeer, change only the wings from 6.8 to 7.8. Alright, so this is gonna help you a lot, because even though you're gonna be slower in the straights, and the corners are gonna be a lot better, right? So the car is gonna turn in a lot more and everything else. So just change one thing by the time, you know. So 6/8 to 7/8, and then you go out and test it. And then if you are not safe, you are still under steering, just go up by one click on the control bar, and then go and try and test it. You know, it's all about testing it. You know, but maybe some people don't know what you do, you know, if you are oversteering or understeering, or the car is not stable, you know. So that's why I'm showing you what you do when you are feeling not comfortable for a race. And even though you have not practiced it, you know, it's important to practice for our races. But if you didn't have the time to, I'm just showing you what you change on a setup, right? When you are just really hungry for a setup and you don't have the time to do so, right? So these are the main changes I would do. Alright, so I hope this video was very helpful for you. I'm just gonna sum up everything now. You can change the wings, the transmission, and the suspension. Alright, you can also change the control bars. So if you are struggling with stability, just increase the rear wing. It's gonna give you a lot of more stability, right? If you're struggling with understeer in slow speed corners, you can go down on the off differential. And if you are struggling with oversteer, you go up by 1 or 2 clicks, right? It's gonna help you a lot. And the suspension is quite simple as well. It's pretty much the same as the wings. Alright, if you need some more stability, you go down on the suspension. And if you need some more corner entry speed, you know, you just go up by 1 click or 2 clicks. Right? And the control bar is the same thing, pretty much. Right? It just has less effect than suspension. Right? So I hope this video was very helpful for you. I showed you the main points of the setup. I've done this video in Portuguese as well, but I've posted it last year, on the last day of last year. So now it's the English version, as I had a few requests for it. So I'm just posting it now because that was when I had the time to record it. Alright, so make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We are growing so much this year. Actually, last year we grew over 1,000 subscribers, which is amazing for me. Right, so I hope every one of you have a really good new year. You know, the first video of this year is in English, to come back with English commentary. Alright, so make sure to like the video, subscribe, and share it. It's gonna help a lot of people who doesn't really have time to you know, practice before the races, and then they just go straight into the races and they don't know what to do with the setup, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it. See you next video. Bye bye.